Poxy. Like, everybody. Let's talk about Enzo Fernandez if you want. Let's talk about Nicholas Jackson if you want.
It felt like you were pointing there to the manager. Like, it stems from him.
No, I'm not particularly impressed by Pochettino.
In an ideal world, how many of those players from that starting 11 would you still want at Chelsea?
Are you joking?
Rory Jennings, let's talk about your team Chelsea before we give Newcastle some plaudits. Bad, isn't it? Really bad, that, especially considering your best performances this season have come against the big boys. So I thought against Newcastle, who are going to go for it, even with their injuries, you'd step up to the plate. And you didn't. No,
mate. I mean, I think that we were just all over the place. It was such a coming back down to earth with a bump, because prior to the international break, a bang. Yeah. I mean, prior to the international break, I really was optimistic. I thought if things go well here, if we get our act together, something good could happen. We could make it into the Champions League, we could win a cup, we would definitely make it into Europe one way or the other. And that was so misguided. It was so wrong. We are just threadbare, and we are lacking in all of the characteristics that you actually need. So it's all very well having some fairly precious footballers, so quite delicate, quite dainty, excellent on the ball at times. It's all very well having that, but you know what you really need to move up the table?
I felt like you're talking about someone there. I pictured someone. As you're saying that, I pictured someone. I pictured young Cole Palmer as you're saying that.
Yeah, Cole Palmer I love, by the way. He's been one of the very few bright lights this season. But Cole Palmer's more robust than that.
Okay.
Cole Palmer is more robust. There is a delicate quality to Chelsea though. We aren't fighters. We're fairly passive. When you think about robust teams that demand the best from the goalkeeper to the centre forward and everyone in between, we aren't that.
Are you not though? You look at the midfield. I know Caicedo didn't play start. Sorry, but Fernandez, Caicedo, Conor Gallagher, they're not robust sort of fighting midfielders. I don't look at them as technically gifted, They're not Bernardo Silva, are they? They're more...
Conor Gallagher is robust in his own way.
100%.
But what he's not yet, at least, he's not a sort of leader of men.
Okay.
He's not a warrior in the way that Declan Rice is a warrior for Arsenal. Yeah. He's not there yet. And I don't know if he ever will be, but he's certainly not there yet. I think Conor Gallagher is one of our more physical players. But I wouldn't call him necessarily an in the trenches player. What we need is, and also he doesn't have the. I love him, by the way. I certainly don't want him sold. He is again one of the very few bright lights of this season, but we need so much more. What we are, Addy, we're so easy to beat. That's what we are. We're some teams, to beat them, you have to do all sorts. You have to work so hard. They give you nothing, and if you get a victory, it is effectively winning a cup because you have beaten a team that just will not give you an inch. When Manchester City beat Mourinho's Chelsea that season, Anelka scored a penalty and Chelsea learned from it. We didn't lose another game that season. It was the only game that we lost that season, but we made it so difficult to beat us. This team could lose to anyone at any time, anywhere. The home form is as poxy as the away form. The away form is nothing to write home about. And I think it's fair to say now that our season is over.
Yeah. I'd say the season's done.
Our season is over.
You concede far too many goals. I mean, again, that's now 8 goals in 2 games. And look, everyone applauded the Man City game because it was a fun game to watch. But defensively, I mean, the goals you conceded in that game, the goals you conceded in this game, I mean, Thiago Silva, who I couldn't talk more highly about, considering that he's 30, what is he, 38?
39,
39 playing in the Premier League. I mean, what's he doing?
No, but do you know what, Ad?
Cucurella's not good enough. Reece James is your club captain. He's getting away with it, by the way, Reece James. He's getting away with it, Reece.
I know, the ill-discipline. But you see, the ill-discipline stems from the top, and people don't want to talk about Pochettino. Like, Pochettino's sitting in the director's box because he's banned. Do you know what I mean? Nicholas Jackson's already been banned this season for 5 petulant bookings. Poxy. Everybody across the board. And look, you've brought up Thiago Silva. Probably had his worst game in a Chelsea shirt since his debut at the Hawthorns. But I'm afraid if we're going to highlight individuals, he's not the man. No, we can do this. We can play this game. Let's talk about Enzo Fernandez if you want. Let's talk about Nicholas Jackson if you want. Let's talk about Cucurella if you want. I mean, we can talk about individuals across the team, but let's do it in fairness.
Okay, it felt like you were pointing there to the manager. Like, it stems from him.
No, I'm not particularly impressed by Pochettino. I feel like some managers, and Pochettino is certainly part of this club, when they just have a positive press, they're seen as being brilliant managers, often in spite of what they do. So Pochettino is seen as being a really successful manager, a really good manager, a proven manager, an excellent manager. arguably a top-tier manager. You know, people see him top 4, top 3, top 5
Which is crazy,
managers in the league.
Which is crazy.
I've seen nothing to suggest that. Absolutely nothing. People go, look what he did with Tottenham. All right, that Tottenham team, if they were so good, why didn't they win anything? You know, look at the state of Chelsea. Look at the fact that Tottenham didn't win anything when they were top of the league for, what was it, two calendar years?
Yeah.
They were the best team over those 2 years. They didn't win anything. I'm not impressed by Pochettino at all. The only excuse I will make for him is I feel like he is set up to fail because of the idiocy of the board. But today isn't the day for the board chat. I've made my feelings on the board perfectly well known. But when you get battered at St James's Park, it's about the players on the pitch and the manager who put them out there.
How many of that starting 11, like in an ideal world, obviously look, you can't change everyone because it's just you can't, right? I mean, you're sort of tripping close to the FFP hot wire already. But in an ideal world, how many of those players from that starting 11 would you still want at Chelsea?
Are you joking?
I know.
Are you joking?
This is why this game
Barely
will last
none.
10 seconds.
Okay, let's play the game. I think our goalkeeper Sanchez is atrocious. Yeah. Right, absolutely ludicrous signing. Ludicrous signing. Like, do you know what I think? Terrifyingly, Chelsea's iconic moment. You know, you get these iconic moments of the season. Some images can capture a club, can't they? They can capture the essence of the club. So when Manchester United were brilliant, Rooney upside down, bicycle kicking it in against Man City. That's a statement photograph of that era. You know, there are those moments. I remember the Chelsea one back in the day was Lampard in the yellow, covered in mud with Terry celebrating the cup. Right? You get those things. Do you know what our overriding image is? Robert Sanchez charging back against Brentford and we're 1-0 down and we've got a goalkeeper in the opposition box. Sanchez charging back, doesn't bring the bloke down, falls on the floor, they score. Sanchez charging, how we've managed to replace Kepa Arrizabalaga with somebody worse than Kepa Arrizabalaga, it's actually commendable to do something that bad.
All right, quickly. Come on,
okay, so Robert Sanchez, nowhere near it.
Don't want him.
Thiago Silva, you probably have to look. Well, you obviously have to look to replace. It's not that he's not good enough. It's not that I don't love him, but you have to replace him. I like Badiashile. I think he's been one of the better players of the new era. He didn't have a good game. You know, he was certainly caught out for that Isak goal, but he's fine. He's one of the better players. Cucurella gone. Can't bear him. Ugachukwu, I don't know,
good
mate.
Pronunciation.
Nigerian
name, not easy.
I don't know. Caicedo hasn't really hit the ground running, but, you know, let's see. Enzo Fernandez seems to get away with it all the time. I haven't been impressed at all. You know, he's been there nearly a year now. 1 goal and assist. 1 goal, not 1 goal, 1 assist. 1 GA. Yeah. So, useless. Mudryk, useless. Jackson, useless. Madueke, useless. I don't know. Like, where do you want to go? But, you see, the one thing that I would say is a defence for Mauricio Pochettino is set up to fail because of Todd Bowling, clearly.